Good morning to all. Today we will discuss how to write a scientific article. Let's start. So, how a new researcher or a beginner can write a scientific research article. So, first of all, I want to clear this video or this discussion is not limited for any particular or specific branches or discipline. I try to include the all branches of discipline for this discussion. So, how a new researchers can start to write a scientific research article. To start writing a scientific research article, many new researchers face extreme difficulties. I damn sure every researchers faced a complete blank page at some stage of their research career, speculating like what to start, how to start writing, where to start writing. So every researcher, including me, definitely faced the same at some stage of their career. Definitely describing our research work to a large scientific community as an acceptable publication format is not at all an easy task. So what we should follow, a researcher, a beginner should follow for this. So first point, a new researcher or a beginner should follow, that is, they or the researcher have to spend or devote or invest a lot of time. At the same time, the researcher should devote lot of energy, and also sometimes researchers also spend or invest his own money or their own money for the research. So when they have to invest a lot of time, then they should read other research, what they did based on your research area. So they have to spend a lot of time, energy, sometimes also if needed money. So emotionally they have to attach, or emotional involvement is crucial before they start to write a scientific research article. So once all this involvement will be with a new researcher, then the researchers can understand the importance of research, or importance or the value of the research for the scientific community. So next will be that how best way the researcher can present their research work. How best way to present the research work means what? We can understand how best we can present our research work which will be acceptable in a publication format. So best way means we have to present our work in a very clear, understandable way, in a very clear way and also understandable way, so that a non-expert on your field can easily understand your work, and also a non-expert of your field can also appreciate for your research work. Then you can understand that you presented your work is a best way. So definitely competition also now it is quite high for the publication in a good quality journal. So rejection may occur also when you will submit your article. Rejection also may occur. But that again, we have to give importance on our work. And again, we have to modify our writing skill so that no confusing sentence will be involved on your research article. And we go again further. So by taking care of these initial points, we start to write a scientific research article. So research article means there we have to add several paragraphs. We have to write several paragraphs. So if we can join some letters, then the letters gives you words. If you join few words, then the words gives you sentence. If we add sentences, then it gives you paragraphs. So that paragraphs we have to write. So this discussion will be important for the new young researchers who have some basic background knowledge and want to start writing their first draft of the manuscript. Then the first draft will be forwarded to your co-authors and your mentors or supervisors to create your final draft for the publication. So our aim to help the new researchers to write their first draft. So before they start writing, so what should they have? So for the first point, they should have background of your research work or of your study. So background of your study means what? Means literature survey related to your research area. So the first you have to, when like I told from the beginning, that you have to invest or you have to devote a lot of time. So there you will read so many research articles related to your fields. So it is a best practice when you will read some literatures related to your research work. So that time you should write it down, the importance of their finding in some sentence form or some paragraphs forms with the given references. So background of your study like literature survey is important. It should be with you before you start writing. Then all the references should be with you in a particular folder. And preferable, you should have also some softwares for managing the references. So many open access softwares are available or licensed versions are available. So that software you have to learn and you have to keep with you. The researchers should keep with them so that they can able to manage large number of references. The second point will be the experimental results or theoretical results. Those who are working on experimental field, experimental researchers. So for them, they should perform the experiments and then the results should be ready with you before they start writing. So the results ready means that I will tell what they should ready. Their experiment should be performed and the results with them for an experimentalist. If for theoretician, those who are working on theory, they should perform the theoretical experiments, theory, and also theoretical study they should do. And the theoretical results they should have with them. So then that theoretical or experimental results, they should plot it or they should keep with them in the form of either in table format or in figures or in graphs or in graphical representation, in table, figure, graphical representation. So that should be ready with you, with the researchers. So either they can make the figures, and they can keep with them, or they can make the tables that they keep with them. So these things should be ready with them. So first of all, they should have the references, the literature survey with them. They should keep with them. Second point, they should have these experimental results with them in the form of either table format or in graph or in graphical way or in figure format. They should have, and that also they should keep with them. The next point, the some software that manuality will take long time. So some software now freely, many open softwares are available and also licensed version are available. So you should use it. You should keep with you. So these three things should be with you. Then we can start our next step. So by taking into account this, what will be our next step? Our next step will be identification of the targeted journal. Before we will write a scientific research article, that is also important, the identification of target journal. So when you have the background knowledge, the like literature survey, you have ready with the figures or tables or graphs, ready with the reference managing software. So now it's important the targeted journal where you want to publish, like whether you want to publish your work in a shorter communication format or a full article, like for communication format or short article. So based on their journal website, they mention that how many words are limited or how many characters are needed for this, or how many pages or how many figures you can use for particular this. So for full article or for communication article, so what it is the researcher target, that is important to know. So that also you have to know. Then based on that, you have to write. The next, after we know the identification of targeted journal and we know the background, then we will go for our next target. We will start writing our scientific articles. So to write the scientific articles, I try to cover for major section of the journals, for majority of the journals which they follows. So what is the major section of a scientific research article? So I just try to take the first letter of each word and I made it. You can see it here. The majority of the journal follow this one, TAIMRADCAR. Means what? These are the major section of a scientific research article, which followed by majority of the journals. So what are those sections? The first you can see T, that is title. So for every research article, research scientific article or scientific research article, this should have a particular title. So in later, I will tell the importance of title or how we have to choose the title. That I will explain later. The next is A. A stands for abstract. So abstract or gist of your article, scientific research article should be there in abstract, which is also related to conclusion that I will discuss in that section when I will explain the abstract. So a title will be there, then abstract will be there, then I stands for introduction. Introduction should be there. Then aim stands for methodology. Methods or methodology will be there. Then RAD means result and discussion will be there. Then C stands for conclusion. So one conclusion will be there. Then A, if any acknowledgement will be there, R should be there, and acknowledgement should be there. Then R means references should be there. And we can also keep the conflict of interest or author's contribution. So these are some sections of a scientific article. So what are the sections? Title, then abstract, then introduction, then methods, then results and discussion, methods or methodology, then result and discussion, then conclusion, acknowledgement, then conflict of interest or author's contribution you can give, then references. So all these are the sections of the scientific research article. So now we will understand the importance of each section and how we should focus on that. Like what is the importance of title, what is the importance of abstract, and how we should present the title part, how we should present our abstract, how we present the introduction part, how we should present the methods or methodology section, how we present result and discussion section, conclusion section, and references. So in our next part, we will discuss each section one by one, like title, then abstract, then introduction, methods, result, and discussion. So overall in this, we understand to write a scientific article, what are the basic requirements we need, then we will start writing. So for our next session, I will explain the how we will start title and then abstract, then introduction. So how we will start writing, what the information we should present there. So hope you will enjoy this and it will be useful to write the scientific research article. So you can also comment on this. We'll discuss the first section of a scientific article. Is last part 1 lecture, we discussed the several sections of a scientific article named as title, abstract, introduction, methods, then resultant discussion, conclusion, references, and then in between also optional we can add acknowledgement and also conflict of interest and author's contribution. So today we will discuss about the first section, that is title. So in this section, in this we particularly discuss what is the importance of a title. Next, how we can choose a title. Next, how we can make an attractive title for the readers. So all this point we will discuss today in this first section of scientific article, that is title. So does title plays an important role in a scientific article? Yes. Why? Because as we know that when a new researcher or a beginner try to start his or research work, his or her research work, so the researchers aim to collect the literatures. So when the researchers try to find out the literature, then what exactly they do? The researchers type on Google Scholar, using Google Scholar, or in a particular went to the specific journal sites. They went to the sites, to the journal sites, or in Google Scholar, they just type some research area topic on which research area they are interested. So when they will type the topic or the subject, the particular some keywords, when they will type on the Google Scholar or any particular journal site, so what will happen? So the list of the journals, list of the research articles will come, and when the research articles or books will come, then the title based on the keywords, based on the researchers keyword which they typed, so based on that the article will come. So means we can understand the readers first introduction of a published article is the title. So if the title will be good, then or title will be attractive, then your paper will be searched by maximum readers, and also it will be go to a higher citation. So choosing a title is crucial or important for a particular scientific article, and preferable when someone try to write the title. So if the researcher will follow at the end of the manuscript, after completion of all the manuscript, if they will choose the title or the researcher will choose the title, then that is good. Why I want to say this? At the end, we have to choose the title, because title means it should hold keywords to reveal the whole story or the whole focus or whole aim or main issue of your manuscript or of your article. So means it should hold few keywords. We'll use few keywords of your whole manuscript. So it will be highly preferable if you will choose the title at the end of the manuscript. As I told that readers, the first introduction for your published work, that is the title. So how we can choose this title? What are the basic points we have to follow to make an attractive title? So that when a reader will search, then your manuscript or your published article will come. So to make an attractive title, researchers should follow, or the title should contain what are the things must be contained so that it will be a good title or an attractive title. The most important part, that the topic of your investigation. So you have to take few keywords from the topic of your investigation. What exactly you want to do or you did on your investigation, what was your finding, that you have to mention. So the important subject or the important topic, you should take some few keywords for your title. Next, what the method you applied for this, for your article, what the method you applied, that also you have to mention. I will demonstrate also one article. I will take it and I will show that how the title demonstrates your whole story. I will also mention later. So the first point, the subject, you have to take few keywords for your subject or the investigation on that particular topic. Next, what method you use, the methods what you applied, the researcher applied, that also you have to put there. Then what is the significant or remarkable or important findings of your research? So the highlights, the significant finding of your research. So basic, these 3 points should be there on your title. And next, whenever you will make title, should concise the title. Title should be concise. So if small title, then it will be good. So title should be concise. So we have to follow, first of all, we have to take few keywords for the subject of the investigation, so that when a new researcher or a beginner start to finding your published article, they will type the subject and your article also come there. The next, what the method you followed for your investigation, that should be mentioned, so that the new researchers, when they will find that this method available for them, so they will also type on that subject with the method, then your will come. The next, what is the importance finding of your research, that you have to mention, and it should be concise. So when we will try to prepare the title of the manuscript, then we should follow this so that our title will be an attractive one for the readers. When they try to search the research article, then it will come automatically. So let's see. I will show you, demonstrate you that an article, when we'll write the title and how I can explain about the title. And then here you can see this is recently a published article with my student. So now you can see in this we choose a title like morphology dependent servothermal synthesis of spinel nickel cobaltite nanostructures for enhanced energy storage device application. So this is a particular area, so I want to tell this one, but similar way also we can think for others. So in this case, what we can see from in this title. So the first part you can see is from our, here we so know that subject of our investigation. So what is the subject? The subject here we can able to see that the subject is here that these spinel nickel cobaltite nanostructures. So this one is this structure. So nickel cobaltite. So whoever try to do research on NiCO2O4, so when they will type the subject, like they start research for NiCO2O4, so in the Google Scholar, when they will type NiCO2O4, then this paper will come as keyword. So next I told that methods we have to focus. So here you can see one is solvothermal synthesis. So means the method we applied, solvothermal method we applied. So here we mentioned that solvothermal synthesis. So subject we focused, methods we focused. Next was we have to focus that what is the important investigation or what is the significant findings or important findings of our research. So what is that? So here you can see it. One finding is here morphology dependent. Morphology means we can say is that there's some size, shape or image. So that dependent means various size, shape things are there. So that was depending. So that is one finding. We're getting here this morphology dependent, various morphology. Next, another finding that you can see enhanced energy storage device application. Means we did apply here one energy storage device, and then important is enhanced. So it was means whatever we observed that was very highly means the performance is high, much high. So enhanced or improved performance we observed. So now if someone will search the methods, here also this may this article may show. If someone types the subject, that also it will come. If someone also want to type the application part, that also they can get it. So this is the importance, like when we will choose the title, we have to follow these three part mainly. First is concise, that is important. We have to make the concise. The title should be concise. Then we have to follow what is the importance of our finding, what is the subject or what is the topic, the main focus. We will take some keywords for that, and what the method we applied, that few keywords, and then what is the important finding, few keywords. So the title usually holds keywords of your subject which reveals the whole topic of your article, a whole research work for this for that manuscript, or the whole story of that article. And after the title, so like here you can see that this title, we can understand that in this title, definitely they prepare, definitely in this title that they prepare this nickel cobaltite. They use the servothermal method to prepare this. Then there were various morphology they observed, and then they did application of energy storage device. So it is clear. And after the title, so we have to follow this to make a good title or to make an attractive title. So now after the title, when we start to writing the manuscript, so we have to change a good title. We have to choose an attractive title. And if we choose this at the end of our manuscript, then it will be good, because when we'll complete our manuscript, after all the investigation, we can get new important things. And then from that, we can take few keywords and we make it a very good sentence as a title. So now, after we will write the title, then we will write the author's name. Like here you can see it. So we put the title, and after that we have to put the author's name. So author's full name, we put it, and then whoever whoever have contribution for your research work. So all the author's name you should mention it. And remember, when we'll write the author's name, the font size, like here you can see that title font size is larger compared to your author's font size. So author's font size should be smaller compared to the title font size. So after title, you put all the author's name. The next, you put the affiliation of all authors. So here the affiliation also, again you can see that the affiliation, but that also again smaller size, font size will be smaller compared to the author's name. And then you can put the email address of the corresponding author. Suppose here you can see it, since in this particular only one affiliation, so only one department in one university we did that work, so only one affiliation we give. Suppose the authors are from different department or different institute, then what you have to do it, then author's name one, you can take first author's name one, second from different department or different institute, you can give two, third different institute, you can give four, fifth age equivalent to first, then you can give age one, and first one is one. So then you can add in that based on the affiliation, then one belongs to this affiliation, two belongs to this affiliation, like that you have to mention on the manuscript. And then after the title, you can mention the corresponding author, as you can show whoever the corresponding author, give a star mark, and you can give the email address as well as the name. So that is the first page of your, when you will start writing the first page of your, the first phase will be the title. Then next you have to write the author's name, and next you have to write the affiliation, and then the email address of the corresponding author. So for the next lecture, part 3, we will discuss about the abstract section. So what is the importance of the abstract and how we will write the abstract, that we will discuss on the next part 3. So thank you very much for your attention. So please subscribe this channel so that it will motivate us to make more videos. Thank you. We will discuss in this section what is an abstract and what is the importance of abstract. So we will discuss what is an abstract, what is the importance of abstract, then what are the information should be presented in abstract. So where we have to focus when we start writing our abstract. At the end, we'll also discuss, we'll also demonstrate that whatever the point should be presented in abstract, which we will discuss, we will also correlate with the published article, whether there follows or not. So let's start about the abstract session, and I'm sure it will be helpful for all the new beginners. So let's start. So what is an abstract? So an abstract is nothing but a concise overview of your whole manuscript or whole article or whole research work. A concise overview. Like in title, what we understand? What is the meaning of title? We understand that in title, we are taking that reveals few keywords of your whole manuscript. In this time, in abstract, that is key sentence we will take together to make a paragraph which will demonstrate whole story or complete of your research work or of your paper. So in this case, like in title, we take few keywords. In abstract, we will take few sentences. And that should be concise. So in abstract, we will focus that it will be a concise, attractive, and also informative. So basically, the importance of an abstract, it should be concise, it will be attractive and informative. So that when someone will read your article or read your research work, just after reading your abstract, they will be motivated to read your whole manuscript. And particular, this abstract, whenever a researcher start writing the abstract, this abstract, researchers don't have to copy from any published paper. It is completely self-contained text. Whenever you will prepare your abstract, that should be completely self-contained text. That's the reason in abstract, we don't have to include any citation or any references. So in abstract section, there will be no references or no citations. So now we can understand about the importance of abstract. So we have to make concise, attractive, as well as informative. And why we want concise, particularly in this case? Generally, when we have to submit our manuscript or article in any journal, so basically, journal to journal it varies that there will be limitation of words or characters for abstract. Basically, it varies from 80 to 150 words. So abstract should be concise. So in this word, we have to restrict our abstract. That's why we have to careful. Then why it is we have to give some special importance? What is the importance of abstract? Because whenever you will submit your article, the editorial board, the editorial office, the editor-in-chief, he don't have time here. The editor-in-chief has no time to read your whole manuscript. So he will check your abstract title and your abstract first. Then only from that abstract they can understand about your work and then they can send for review. And whenever you will try to write your abstract, researchers start writing or you will read the abstract of other papers, you will find basically they followed the abstract should be written in past tense. That is in third person. Past tense in third person format. So always try to follow the abstract part should be in past tense in third person. So I will demonstrate also the published article, then we will get clear idea about that. So now when you submit your article, and editor will send your manuscript or your submitted article, scientific article, to the reviewers. So you have to know that when your work assigned to any reviewer, so the reviewer can't see from the beginning, the reviewer can't see your whole manuscript. The reviewer can see only your abstract. So the reviewer will read only your abstract, and then the reviewer will decide whether he will review your, or the reviewer, whether he or she will review your manuscript, or he will reject directly not to review the particular article. So we have to give special focus when we will start writing the abstract. So we have to give little more time on abstract. Now we will go how we will write abstract and what are the point should be focused when we will write an abstract. That is more important. So what are the points should be focused in an abstract? Like as we told that in title, we are taking some few keywords which reveals whole story of the manuscript. Here, as I told, we have to take few sentences which reveals the whole story or whole manuscript or whole research work. So what are the points should be focused when you will start writing in abstract? So the first point, that is background. So first 2-3 lines should be focused background. So first 2-3 sentences you have to focus on background. We will see also whether the published articles follows the same or not. That also I will compare at the end. So now we'll understand what do you mean by background, that we understand. So let's first we have to finish that what are the point we should focus. The first point is background. So first sentence should be some background. Second, we have to focus on methods. So first 2 sentences should be background. Second will be methods. Methods, don't think that all the experimental procedure and all, only the particular main method, major method you applied. Then that should be one line. The next should be results. Next sentence should be results. In this results, what do you mean by results? Not discussion, only result part. So I will discuss later what do you mean by what we should write in results, what we should write in background, what we should focus in methods. So all we will discuss one by one. And the last part is conclusion. So when the new researchers start writing the abstract, the researchers should focus these 4 points. First one is background, second is methods, third is results, and fourth is conclusion. So all the researchers will also see the published article whether they are follows or not. I'm damn sure all the research article, published research article follows the same. You can see any of this. I will, for the comparison, I will also take 2 articles, 1-2 article I will take it. But first we have to understand now what do we mean by background, means what we have to exactly write in methods, what we have to write in results, what we have to write, or in conclusion, what we have to write. Let's start one by one. So background means what we can understand. Means generally we will write 2 or 3 sentences. So means we will remind the context. So in the first sentence, whenever we will write the abstract, we will remind about the story. We have to remind the context or the prospect fix we will remind. Means what exactly? Like it remains a challenge, or it a need, or something which we want and urgently we need this. So we will first we have to flashback the story about the story, which one we want to focus before we come to our main objective, what exactly we want to do, that there is a urgent need of that. So for that we will put a background like one or two sentence we can, one sentence we can put like that there is an urgent need of this. Or you can any article you can see, you will find definitely some sentence will be written that there is an urgent need of this, or remains silence, or it is or a challenging task, so we have to do this. So what exactly we want we did, so before that we will give a hint on the background. So first two line or first line, first sentence. The next sentence will be our main objective, like what exactly it is, since it was needed, so here we want to do this. So the first background line will be like there is a need or a challenge to do this, then we did it that way. The second sentence will be our main objective, we did it. That's why you can able to find any manuscript, the first sentence will be like that, like there is an urgent need, or it remains a challenge to do this, like that you'll find the first sentence. The second sentence you will find, herein we demonstrate, or herein we report, or here we uh, we showed, or here we presented. So like that. So the first sentence will be you have to remind the context. Second, your main objective, herein what you did it. So this is all about your background. So that will be 2-3 sentence. 2 sentence or 3 sentences enough. Based on your number of words, you can choose it. Our next point is methods. In methods, what exactly we want to say? Simply the main method or the major method, what exactly you applied the method. Not that the procedure you will write. Procedure in the experimental method section or in the methodology section, you will explain all in detail what exactly you did, all point, every point you will focus it. But in particularly in here, in the abstract part, what is the main method you used? Theoretical or experimental, whatever. What is the main method you use? Just one sentence you have to write. This method used for this one. If experimentally, you synthesize or prepare this material or fabricate this device using this method. If experimental, if theoretical, then you applied a DFT or whatever, which application, which one you used that method, you just apply, you have to write. So the first sentence will be, you have to give a reminder that this is a urgent need is there. So background, the first sentence. Second sentence will be main objective, what exactly you want to do. Third statement will be the method what you apply. In objective part also you can add also the methods. That is also you can objective you can add. Or objective, after the main objective, you want to do this, then how you did this. In the background, in background you mentioned that there is a need. Second sentence, main objective is this. Third sentence, to achieve this main object, which method you used. Then next part will be our results. So for this results part, so here, first you have to check your methodology. What are the different types of methods all you used? So for all this part, you have to list out the exact value and exact result, how much you observed. So it will be better if you will represent the whole number you will represent, that will be also better. Otherwise, all this results, whatever you observed, whatever your new findings, what you observed, so that you list it out the highest result for your measurements. What are the highest result? What are the best you observed? What are the best things you observed? So all you list it out. For the experimental section, so for those who are experimental, who are doing experimental research in experiments, suppose they prepared 10 samples or 12 samples or 12 fabricated 12 device, all device they perform. So among them, the best one, how much they got, how much they observed, lowest one, how much they observed, the last final result, that they have to list it out and they have to put it here. Or what are the methods they applied for each method, what exactly they got for each method or each used instrument, what are they observed, that they have to list it out. Similarly, if they are expert in theory, if they are doing the theoretical experiments, similarly, how much result they observed for each section, for each method, for each theoretical methods. I'm sorry, they have to list it out and they have to mention in this result section. So that should be around 3-4 sentences they can write. Next will be the conclusion. So in conclusion part, what they have to write in, what they will write, like the final 2 sentences, final 1 sentence, what they should write. In the final sentence, like the first sentence will be there as a reminder that it needed. Second sentence will come, the main objective. Third sentence came, to achieve that objective, which method they used. Fourth sentence will come, after applying those methods, after applying these methods, what are the results they observed? What are the new findings they observed? And the final sentence will be what? The final sentence, they will be summarizing the best one. They will be summarizing the best one, and they have to give you a hint for the implementation of your work for the future studies or for the future research. So whatever you will find the best result, best finding, the major finding that the use for the future research. So that is the process you have to follow when you will start writing for abstract. So I hope you got all clear about the how we can write abstract. So in the abstract, when we will write, so mainly we have to focus 4 things. One is, first is the background, where we have to write, we have to give a reminder of the context. Second part, and also we have to focus background also, the main objective we will mention. Second is methods, which major method you used to observe that objective. Third, results, what are your finding. The final one, conclusion, in that which was you observed the best finding among all, the best finding, that what will be the future application for that, or that's why you can able to see that is a potential candidate for future this application, and it can be used for this, it can be used for this application or for this generation, that like that you will find the last sentence. So now in this abstract, when we will start writing the abstract, what are the things not required? We don't have to write in abstract section. What are the things? First is reference. We don't need any references. We don't have to cite. This is completely self-content or own content text. Second part, discussion. There will be no discussion about the results here. Only what you observe, that. No need to discuss anything. Third part, in the abstract section, there will be no figure or no tables. So figures, tables, references, discussions will be not present in the abstract section. Now I will start to whatever I told, that we will check it. So this is one of published paper of our group. So let's see whether we followed all these or not. So you can see now the first sentence, what did he mention? So so now you can see, so first we write the title as we discussed about the title. Then as you can see here, all authors' names are mentioned. And then definitely when you will write, then definitely here affiliation should be there. But this is I took from this paper directly. So here it was not showed, but you can able to see it. But when you will write in your Word file, that time or in LaTeX, that time definitely you have to put the affiliation of the authors. So, and then the email address of your corresponding author. So now let's read that. The first what I told, remind the context, means what exactly now needed. So you can see now here it was mentioned. It remains challenge to find a suitable gas sensing material. So means we need a material, very difficult to find this. So there is a challenges. We need a material, suitable material for gas sensing application. So now you can see the first sentence completely match what as I discussed. So it remains a challenge to find a suitable gas sensing material that show a high response. So now you can see that it was so like we need this type of material which can show high sensitivity or high response towards several volatile organic compounds. So we mentioned here. Next, as I told, next sentence will be our objectives. After first and second sentence will be our main objectives. Means herein we present, herein we showed or demonstrate or represent or reported. So here you can see that here also I wrote the same sentence. So here you can see here we report a mixed metal oxide W3 SNO2 nanocomposite material. So our main objective, I want to show it here. The next part is what I told. Next part will be to achieve that objective. Which method we apply? Just to have to write the method's name. So now you can see that whether we mentioned this or not, you can see now here we mentioned by a simple single step one pot hydrothermal method. I did not discuss about what the hydrothermal method, what exactly we did in hydrothermal before we do the hydrothermal, how we did this, how did this, that I did not mention here. That will be in methodology section. I just mentioned the method name. Then I mentioned that which just that at that reaction carried out at which temperature that we mentioned. That is, we also sometimes also you find also some papers also they will not mention. That is okay, but we can mention just simply just that the condition. So next was what? What are the results we observed? So now you can able to see it here. All the results we listed after the what are the method, what are we applied, and what are the results we observed, we always mentioned. You can see that all the results now we mentioned. That what are our finding. So we mentioned here about we have when we did this SCM or TM, what results we observed, that we mentioned it here. And then you can see that our finding, like here you can see that 200 degrees centigrade. So here you can see the optimum responses, the best results which one we observed, that we mentioned it here. You can see that 200 degree, 300 degree, 350 degrees centigrade for the sensing for ammonia, ethanol and acetone. So the final result what we observed, that we mentioned it here. The last point, as I told, last will be the conclusion. So in this conclusion means what? Means our finding, the best finding, how we can implement for our future research. So here you can see that the last sentence we mentioned what? The present results on the cost effective noble metal free this W3SNO2 sensor could find potential application in human breath analysis. So it could be fine for future as a breath sensor. So hope you can understand. This is like a gas sensing field in material science field. Another paper we can, another field we'll try it. I like also, this is also one of our from our group. So during my PhD, I did this. That was also my PhD work, one of my PhD work. So here also PhD work. So you can see this one. So whether we focus or not. So now here, life title is there first, then our names are there. Then you can see here, we mentioned here, the affiliation is there. So now you can see it. The first sentence is a background, whether we followed or not the background part. Background means what we have to do. This one is needed. So here you can see it, what we mentioned. Developing. So development of active material capable of delivering high specific capacitance is one of the present challenge in supercapacitor application. So it is a present challenge is there in this supercapacitor application. So we given a hints that there is a need. Next will be what is the main objective. So you can see the next sentence start with herein we report a facile. Then what we report? Which method we applied? Solvothermal approach. Then what we prepared? We mentioned it. Then our main objectives. What are the findings we observed? So you can see now here, we given one finding here, we given 465 farad at 1 ampere. The best result, what we want to show it. So we can see it here. You can see that this is one finding. Another, we can see that stability. So whatever the things we did it for all one step, one sentence as a result, the major findings, we have to write it down. So you can see it. We write down what the measures for each part we given one sentence. And also here you can see the energy density or power density. So all for all the finding results we given one sentences, and end sentence will be our conclusion. So you can see it now in the conclusion part what the last sentence showed. So last sentence should be for future perspective or for future research whether our material will be a suitable candidate for the future applications. So here you can see that what we mentioned, the high energy density and excellent capability, and excellent capacity retention obtained using a graphite W3 nanowire nanocomposite demonstrate that it could be a promising material for the practical application in energy storage devices. So we give hints that this material can be used for the practical application in future. So that I took two of our group published work during my PhD, which I did it, I showed it. But definitely you will find any paper you can take it, you will find the same concept. These four part they will follow. First part is background, second part is your main objective, third part will be main method, fourth part will be the results, and last of this you will find as conclusion. So any good quality paper you can take it and you will find. If you will not find that those things, then please in comment box you put it, then I will definitely try to find out. If you will, if whatever I told, if it will deviate, then please in the comment box you can write, so then I will definitely focus more on it. And definitely I shared here, it is, again I want to confirm that it is not ultimate. Many other new resources are there, so they can also modify or they can also change this. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Kindly subscribe our channel. If you want to give any suggestions, then write down on the comment box. So thank you very much. Thank you. So next we will go for the introduction part. So after the abstract part, there will be keywords. So keywords means like what are the key points we in title, which one we used. So what are the similarly, what are the key words are there? Like if we search that, that will demonstrate our work. So keywords we should give that one. I will just keep it. Some keywords we can mention of our research work, and the next part is introduction. So our part 4 we will discuss about the introduction part. So how we will write introduction? What is the importance of introduction? So thank you very much. So how we can write the introduction part? Is we discussed for abstract and for title, how we will write in part 1 and part 3 and part 2. So today we will discuss about the part 3. So in title, we represent that we have to take few words, few keywords, which will reveals the whole story of our research work. Similarly, also we discuss on the abstract, like we abstract that we mainly focus on 4 points. That is the background. Then we have to mention, we focus the methods, then results, then conclusion. So now the most important thing, that is the introduction. When a new researcher or a beginner start to write a scientific article, so they should start from the introduction section. Not that like directly they start from title or abstract. This abstract and title, though I discussed in from the beginning, because as we can read our manuscript, you read some manuscript, you will find first mention as title, then abstract. So I discussed about the title and abstract, but when a new researchers start writing, they should start from the introduction section. As I from the first lecture, as I mentioned, all the researchers, some stage of their life, they face problem, a blank page, that where they have to start writing, what they will write, that when they start writing the introduction. So this introduction section plays an important role to understand how we have to write the introduction section. But we don't have to worry about that, because I think before they should write the introduction section, they face also by themselves introduce. Means what I want to say, like before we start writing introduction, like when a researcher start working to research, they have given some interview on their life where the questions will be by the whoever taking the interview, they definitely ask the question, introduce yourself. So when someone asks to you that introduce yourself, so what exactly we should do? So when we have to start writing about what we have to tell about introduction ourselves, when someone will ask you, introduce yourself, we will not start that currently I am working here. No? How will we start to introduce ourselves? So when someone will ask you, introduce yourself, definitely when we will give our introduction, then we will tell, I am Arpan Kumar Nayak, or I, Arpan Kumar Nayak. Then we will give some reference like where we born, then India, or the district, state name, or the country name, India. The next sentence when we'll start writing, or when we'll start saying the next, then we completed our graduation from this university, then we moved to master degree with this university. Those universities are this like for references. Then we did our PhD from this university or this institute, wherever you did. Then currently next will come, currently I am working as your affiliation you will take. So means what exactly I want to say here, like when we will give our introduction, We will not state directly that currently I am working here like that. We will state first our name, then our degree, then this means past things, means what is known. So before I want to come to the subject, so I will tell that my past, whatever happened. So when also we will start writing a story or we will writing our research article, the same thing also we have to start. Like as I told, we will introduce ourselves. However, we will introduce ourselves. Similar way also we will start writing the manuscript. When we will start writing a scientific article, then we will start with the past things by taking care of the past things of the subject. So what we should think when we'll start writing the introduction? So let's discuss about that. What are the things we have to focus? So we will discuss in this section. What are the things we have to focus? What are the things we have to write? Then also at the end, we will demonstrate also with some the published article, how they have wrote the introduction, whether whatever I want to say, we'll try to correlate with them, whether the same they have mentioned or not. So let's start. Mainly, when we will start writing the introduction, our first aim that we have to know the subject. As I told that you have already all the data you have with you, so you know that which area you are working. So the researcher should know, first of all, he should know that which area the researchers worked on it, he or she or the researcher worked on that. So that area means that is your subject. So that subject is important. We have to take care about that subject. So like the subject is important means we have to tell why the subject is important. So our focus will be like which area we want to write our manuscript or which topic or which subject. So we have to show that when we will start writing, our first aim or first focus will be that why this subject is important or this topic is important. So our first aim when we will start writing the introduction, we will show first why this topic or this subject is important. The subject is important if we'll tell that is not, but why that we cannot say like that, but why this is important that we have to mention. I'll give an example, then it will be more clear. Like the example, suppose that sentence is written like the development of a new material is important in nanotechnology. Means you have to say that the subject is important, like the development of new material is important in nanotechnology. But we will not write like that. We should write the importance of this development of new materials. What is the why this is important? Where we can use this, that we have to mention. Like that, how we can write this sentence? Like the development of a new material is needed or is essential. Where? For nanotechnology to enhance the efficiency of the device. So here you can understand the difference between these two subjects. The first one, as I want to say, the subject is important, that is, the development of a new material is important in nanotechnology. But the same sentence, how we can emphasize on that, that is needed, is crucial. The development of new material is crucial in nanotechnology. How? To enhance the efficiency of the devices. So here I want to say that why this development is important, means why this subject is important. So that try to understand. So whenever we write our introduction part, so our first focus will be why this subject is important, that we have to focus. Or we can say that why we have taken this subject. So our first aim will be that why we have taken this subject, that we have to explain. Means what we have to explain in this? Like as I mentioned in the earlier, like what is the known of this subject? that we have to present it. And whenever we will present, we have to put the references. As in abstract, no reference needed, as I mentioned, but in introduction, when we will start, generally we should start with introduction. So here we have to put the with references. So the subject, when we want to discuss about why this subject is important, so we will not as a hypothesize, at a hypothetically we will not write anything, but we will put with the proper reference. And one more thing I want to clear here, when you will put the references, be sure the references, which references you want to put, that should be from a reputed journals. With reputed means high impact journals or reputed sources, like in high reputed books or high impact journals. I will also demonstrate also. I'll show you one example, then you can see where the references they have taken. So that is important. And updated references, you try to put updated references, means new references on that particular subject, newly, like to, if this is 2023, you can say then 23 references, try to give 23 or 22, like that. New references is good. So updated references of that area, try to put it, and that should be from a high impact journals or from a reputed sources. So when you will sit to write the introduction, so our first aim will be, we will focus on the subject, that why we have taken this subject and why it is important, that we will write with proper references. Next, what we will write? Next, we will put the background of that particular subject. Background, as you remembered, in the abstract section, I discussed about the background. Background means what you have to tell? Means you have to tell like it remains a challenge, or it is crucial, or it is important, means the subject is important, or it is crucial, or it is needed. So like that, we have to, that whole sentence will, that why it is important, then you have to mention that this is crucial, this subject is really important. So this will be our the first paragraphs when we write introduction, that should be there. The next, what we will start? Next we will put that what is unknown. Means what I want to say in unknown means we have to put, right, the current status. As we mentioned that why this is important, then we give that this is crucial, or this is important, or this remains a challenge. So we have to do this. So the next will be what exactly done with that area. What is the current status? Currently, what are the things going on in that area? That we have to present. But again, current status means definitely how you will get the current status from the literature. So when we will put this current status from the literature, we have to put also references for each status. So the next will be that the current status, what is going on, we have to put with proper reference. So now when you will give the current status, what is going on, after that, now know what is your research. Based on your research finding, your importance, then who have done this previously, the current status. So what is your importance? You definitely know that better thing. Better you know that what is importance of yours. So based on, to make your things, your findings better, so the current status you have to show in that way, that they done, but your is the best one. So now you know your things, you know the current status. So now you understand the gap. What is the research gap? So once after you give, you will give the current status. So next you try to put the research gap. Then only the gap, you will fill that gap by your findings, by your objectives. So the next will come. So that is a gap between the current status. So there is a huge gap. So which needed to be fulfilled. So how you can fulfill? So herein we demonstrate. So your objectives next will come. The last paragraph will come. Your objectives. Like we aimed to identify, or we want to investigate, or herein we demonstrate. So we will put our whatever our finding or our objectives will put. So that's all about the introduction. That you can also make little long also or short, but some journals have specified like they have to write the introduction with this word, this much word. So based on the journal's policy, you will go with that. So whenever we will write the introduction part, first of all, you have to focus on the subject, that why this is subject you have chosen, what is the importance of that subject. Next, you put a background of that, like it remains a challenge. So your finding is important. So next, what is the current status, current trend going on that area you will put, but all this you have to give your reference, you should give the references. Then the next, you know that now gap, what should be, you should achieve, what should be achieved now, but what we achieve yet. So then you got the gap, so just mention the gap, then you write your objectives. So that gap which your objective should be, you should fill that gap which was not done previously. So that's all about this introduction. So now that what are the point to be focused when you will write an introduction, that we will discuss what are the point we should focus. Though we understand that we have to focus on subject, we have to focus on current status, background, then current status, and then the research gap, and then this 4 part we have to focus. Then what are the things when we write with focus? Be sure whatever you will write, that should be in present tense. So that you should focus in it. We will also see that whether we are using present tense or not. So your write-up things should be present tense, simple present tense should be used when you will write the introduction part. Like I mentioned in abstract, we are using past tense, third person, but here we will use the present tense. So then in introduction section, we should use whatever we write, present tense. And next, as I told, when we will put the references in this introduction section, that we will try to keep from the updated references, and should be from a very reputed sources or reputed high impact journals or reputed books. You have to take that one. So then, like some reputed review articles, you can take some references from review articles, because when you will take the broad area of that subject, the first will be broad area, then you have to take the small area, then small, then this. So similarly, so that you should take some review articles. You can reputed review article, you can take like nature review articles, or in your area, in particular in your area, you can take. So that will be good one. So the researchers should always try to take the references, whatever the references introduction section they want to utilize, there should be some reputed sources. Then the next, try to write the sentence, whatever you will write the sentence, that should be clear and attractive. No confusing sentence should be written. I always try to prefer to write short sentence, short, small sentence and short sentence. But whatever you will write, but that should be clear and some flow will be there. So first you have to write about the subject, then you come about to the background, then next current status, what is current status going on, then the gap, and finally you have to put your objectives or aim. So by looking with these 4-5 points, we will now let's see about that how they presented their introduction, which was already published in reputed journals. Let's start it. So you can see I took this one from this journal as a reference source. So Nature Communication. And now we will see this. This is the title of that paper. I will show you also the full paper, I will show later. So you can see the title, that boosting photocatalytic hydrogen production from water by photothermally induced biphase systems. You can understand from this title that what exactly they want to say. Means boosting means you can see that they want to enhance photocatalytic hydrogen production. Means photo means light, as you know, photo means light, hydrogen production. So they are basically for light driven hydrogen production. Means definitely we can understand the solar driven hydrogen production they want to say from photothermally induced bypass. So there is a different method. This method they used to enhance the activity of solar driven hydrogen production. So definitely from this title we can understand that the subject is now solar driven hydrogen production. We can understand from here, and their hydrogen production they are increasing. So what increasing means, then you can understand hydrogen production is the efficiency, maybe efficiency they increased, or we can say about the production of hydrogen they increased, boosting. So that should be written. Let's see what they have written in the introduction part. So first we understand the subject is now photocatalytic hydrogen production. So means photocatalytic means solar driven hydrogen production. So let's see, you can see now the first sentence how they start. So solar driven hydrogen production from water is potentially efficient way to address the environmental and global energy crisis in fuel production. So as I told, like the first sentence, like you can remember when I told about that the subject is important, but no, we have to mention that why the subject is important. Like as I told, the material, the new development of new material is important in nanotechnology. The second sentence, how we write, is important in nanotechnology, is needed is in nanotechnology due to enhancing the activity or enhancing in device applications. So similarly, now we have to, like that, we have to mention that why this subject is important. So now you can see now the subject is solar driven hydrogen. So they mentioned here hydrogen production from how? Now from water. They mentioned from water. Also here the subject is production from water. So this is the subject. So this is, you can see now, potentially efficient way to address environmental problems and global energy crisis. So environmental subject, why it is important? Because it will solve the problem for the environmental issues as well as the energy crisis. Why? For fuel production. So whatever the fuel production, so it is important. It is an important. This subject is highly important to solve this problem. So they mention the subject is important. The next, as I told, what? Next we tell the background. We have to put the background. Background means it is needed. It remains a challenge. So this thing we have to mention that why this is important. It means that that it is ultimate. We should do this one. So then the importance of this we have to focus more. So now you can see what they mention the next sentence. In particular, hydrogen gas has a high energy capacity 143 this. So now you can see it, as well as another also they mentioned, and release no toxic emissions. So now they put a background of hydrogen gas, since they are saying about the hydrogen production. So now why hydrogen production is important? So they put a background here. Now what? No, they want to put that the hydrogen gas, that hydrogen gas capacity is very high, and also there is no emission of in this process, no emission of carbon dioxide, so toxic gases. So now you can see the background. What the background then kept. Thus means we can understand that since it has much importance, these two important factors are there. So definitely important to produce this. So you can see now next sentence they started. Therefore, an efficient and rapid photocatalytic hydrogen production photocatalytic production method is urgently needed. So now you can understand that they put a background that yes, this is needed since it is high capacity and this, so this is needed. So they have to, now you can understand that they want to come to their things, that this method is needed because they want to do one method, so they are trying to focus on that. So our next is that what as I told, the first one we put some subject, second we put the background, so they kept the background. Third, we have to put what? We have to focus on third, Now third is, as I mentioned, third we have to do the what is unknown, means what is the current status going on particular on that area. So current status, we have to put the current status, means what the current status going on with references we have to. So here also you can see now they given the references 1 here, 2, 3 here. So now what is the current status going on this one? So means you can understand now that they focused on the method. This method, photocatalytic method, this method is important, needed. So means there definitely the aim comes that they did some method like photothermal. You can see here now photothermal method they used. So I want to say this different types of method. So now the current status means what? So what are the different types of methods are available there will tell. So for each method, what exactly they observed, they will mention. So that will status. And then definitely if your hydrogen production they're saying, so then in that method, how much hydrogen production they observed or what is the efficiency observed, they will mention. So then next come that if their method shows high efficiencies, so then they will get a or high hydrogen production, then they will get a correlation between them. So research kept they find and they'll start there. So let's see what they mentioned for the second step, that is the unknown, like the current status. So you can see now, as I mentioned here, they also mentioned here there are three main types of solar-driven hydrogen production systems. So they mentioned three methods are there in the current status, three methods. So then particulate. So what are the three method systems? So particulate, photocatalysis, photovoltaic assisted electrolysis, and photoelectrochemical water splitting. So you can see now three methods are available. They mentioned here the current status. Then among them, you can see now what they mentioned, where they want to focus on photocatalysis. So here the photocatalysis is predicted to be more cost effective than other two systems. So now you can see, say they focused on the photocatalysis system. Among them, these three, this is more cost effective. So then since they mentioned this is more promising, so now with this method, so to achieve this one, to how much efficiency is observed by different method for the production of hydrogen using this photocatalysis, so they will mention what are the different types of efficiencies they observed. So next you can see now the next what they observed now in this current status. So the cost effective than other two systems they mentioned. So now unfortunately now they will find out that how their system is better than them, then only they can able to find the research gap. So then they will put the research gap. So now you can see, unfortunately, the solar to hydrogen conversion efficiency in particulate photocatalysis remains a low, though many strategies, including structural defect, these strategies they observed for the hydrogen production or the for the absorption and photo-induced charge separation and transportation. So they mentioned here what, like this method is important, but now they mentioned that the efficiency is low currently. So means they want to say that now they got the finding because whatever they produced, maybe their efficiency is high compared to this. So now they got the gap, so they put the gap. So this is the research gap. They mentioned clearly, they mentioned the research gap. And now for all the methods, whenever they put all these strategies, when they will put these strategies and they used for this photocatalysis method, this strategy like defect engineering they did, or like elemental doping. So these are all strategies they try to do in this method where they have low efficiencies. So that when they emphasize this, so to give here some good references for each strategies. So you can see now here they mentioned this. That's why he mentioned here 5 to 7 the references. In these references, they should put all these strategies they should follow. And what are the efficiencies they observed? That it should be lower than the current. So they got down the research gap. So now comes into picture that thus an efficient thing is important to do. So now in their work, so since they found that the gap, that efficiency is very low with these strategies. So now their strategy, they will tell that we developed this one, we developed this one, or we demonstrate this one, or herein we report this to get higher efficiency, and how much efficiency and all, they will mention this. So now you can see now in this work from the, so yes, one more sentence, as I told that present tense, now you can see that solar driven hydrogen production from water is a potentially efficient way to address. So present tense they mention. Similarly, the next sentence, when we will go to the, now you can see in particular hydrogen gas has a high energy capacity and release no toxic emissions. Present tense. Next, therefore, an efficient and rapid photocatalytic hydrogen production method is urgently needed. Next, there are three main types of, so all should be present tense. You have to mention when you will write your introduction section, that should be present tense. So then now you will present your things in this work. The phase interface, this we design an efficient and cost effective photocatalytic system composed of this. So all should be in present tense. So now you can see now in this work, whatever they mention, whatever they did, so now they will mention. So this is like this way we have to write our introduction. So in this work, as a high system significant improve the photocatalytic hydrogen production rate up to now. You can see the give, also you have to give the how much exactly you observed from by using your systems, so that you have to mention. So in this way you have to write the introduction section for your manuscript. The next I told that introduction section, when we will write this, we have to focus the reference whatever there. So let's see in this manuscript what are the references they followed for this one. So now you can see the first reference where they took the first reference. The first where you can see here nature review chemistry. Second reference nature review material. Third reference nature catalysis. Fourth reference energy environmental science. So you can see all top class journals, all the reputed journals from nature, they kept it. So then you can see now sixth one energy environmental science. Seventh one nature material. So now you can understand that how it plays an important role. So whenever you will put the references, so that you should take some reputed sources. So that's why, so whenever you will start writing about the introduction part, don't forget to write this in simple present tense. You should use. Next, whenever you will write, first you have to write the subject, why this subject is important. Then you try to put a background. Next, you have to focus the current status, and in that current status you have to also put the particular references. You have to give the current status, and then research gap, and at the end you have to put your finding, your objectives, or your aim. How to write the next session, that is methodology, experimental section or methodology. So we will discuss how to write the experimental section or methodology. So I'll try to discuss from experimental point of view and also theoretical point of view. So all combined together, so it will be not limited for particular branch. So this will be the next section. Like first will be the title, then your abstract, then keywords will be there, after that introduction, and after the introduction the next section is experimental section or research methodology. In the whole manuscript, this section is the simplest section to write. Like in other sections, compared to other section, writing this experimental section or research methodology, that is the simplest one. Very easy to write this section. So we will discuss today how we can write the experimental section, how we can write, and we will also discuss why this experimental section is important for all scientific articles. So why this is important, we will discuss also in the later. And as I told that this is the easiest section of whole manuscript. So before I will start this experimental section, I want to clear one thing. This section, experimental section on research methodology, is the key part of your whole manuscript. This is the key of your whole manuscript. Why I told the key, I want to explain this one. Suppose a room will be given to you, and in that room, what are the things are available, you want to explain or you want to tell that things to others. And the room, suppose from the outside, you are outside of that building, and someone will tell inside the room what are the things available, just tell me. So what you will do, you will go first. Then if the door will be locked, then definitely you need some key. Without key, you cannot enter to that room. So a key is needed for that. So once you will open the room by the key, then you can enter that room, enter that building, and you can able to see what are the things available inside that. So key is needed to enter that building. Then only you can able to see what are the things available inside that building. Similarly, in this, your whole manuscript, if you want to enter to that manuscript, like if you want to reproduce that work, if you want to do what are the things they did, if you want to know, if you want to do by yourself, then you have to catch this experimental section. So if you will study this experimental section, then you will find all the key factors about that whole manuscripts. So then with this, the help of experimental section, you can reproduce that work. So completely you can understand about, if you want to understand about any particular work, then you have to come with this key part, that is experimental section or research methodology. So there they try to incorporate all the data so that another researcher can reproduce the same. That's why this is the key of your research. So now, why this is important? What are the objective of this experimental section or methodology? Now, in this section, experimental section methodology, explain what and how you did the research work. So which work you want to present it, you want to write the manuscript or the scientific article, the what you did inside the work, what you did, how you did, all detail you will write in this section. You have to write in this section in a very systematic way, so that a other researcher, if they want to do your work, so they can reproduce your work by reading this experimental section, by following this experimental section research methodology, they can reproduce or replicate your research work. So this section is a direct evidence of your idea presented on that particular manuscript. That's why you have to take care when you will write experimental section. So when you will start writing this experimental section, what are the things should be included in that section? So I try to write all the sections from the theoretical point of view, theoretician, or from experimental point of view. So some of the part may be omitted when someone will write their manuscript, because I combined and I made it, but it's not that you have to add all the sections, but some part can be also omitted when you will write. As per your requirement, you can write. So what are the points we should focus and what are the points should be there in experimental section? The first point, if you are experimentalist, you are doing some work by using some materials. So for them, or using some, if you want to fabricate a device, you bought something, the experimentalist, if you use some materials to prepare another material or another device, whatever, for them. The first section will be in the experimental section. The first part should be chemical or materials detail. I will discuss what are the things we should write inside this. I will discuss later. So, and also in the end, I will also show you the manuscript, the published manuscript, that whether they have followed to us or not. So the first, we should focus the chemicals or material detail. Chemicals or material detail means like what are the things you bought and you used for your research work. So that you have to detail every detail, you have to give that. What are the things also, I will explain this one. So you have to give the detail for chemicals and materials detail. And the second part, you have to focus synthesis method. Synthesis method means how you prepare this material, how you did your experiment, that detail in a systematic process you have to write. Then which tense you have to use also, that I will tell you. I will tell you how you have to write it. And next, device fabrication. Suppose when you are writing your manuscript, suppose on your research work, you prepared some devices, you did some device applications. In that case, device fabrication is needed. If no device involved in your research work, then definitely no need to give this device fabrication. Next, simulation. If you did some theoretical work, then you have to write what the software you used, then what are the detail, how you did this one, all the detail you have to write in this simulation part. So if you are only theoretician, if you experiment and theory, then definitely you have to write these experimental sections in synthesis methods and simulation. But suppose you are a theoretician, then definitely there is no need like synthesis method or device fabrication. You can directly write only simulation. That is enough. So next, general formulas. General formulas means if you want to use some generalized formula in your result section to find out the results. To find out the results, suppose you need some formulas. So better you can write it on the experimental section or methodology section, and that you can, like in equation 1, equation 2, like that. Then in equation 1, by using this, you observe that results. So directly you can get the result section, you can directly write the answers. You can follow the basic formulas, the general formulas, that you can write it in experimental section. But also that is also not that if someone will interested, they can put there, that is also not any fault. You can also utilize that one. But I prefer you can put the general formulas also in your experimental sections or methodology, research methodology. The next, characterization. If you are a experimentalist, then what are the instruments you used? What are the instruments used for your material to know the material's information? So whatever you prepared your material, to know the information about that, what are the instruments you used? So that should be discussed in detail. Should be like where you purchase that instrument, how you purchase, what are the model, everything detail you have to write in this characterization section. So again, I just repeat it. In experimental section or methodology section, you have to focus chemicals or materials detail, synthesis method, device fabrication, simulation, general formula, and characterization. That's all about your experimental section includes. But remember, like if you are only theoretician, only theoretical work you are doing, then definitely all this not needed. Simulation is enough. If you are doing only experimentalist, then simulation not required. If you know device, then device verification required. So, but these are the steps whoever want to follow which step they can follow. But I will discuss that what are the things we should write in each section now. So we'll start with the first one is chemicals or materials detail. So what are the information we should give in this section, in the subsection of this experimental section methodology? These are the subsections. So chemicals or materials detail. So here what we will do, we will give the name of the materials which you used. The name of the chemical, if you are a material science people, if you are a chemistry people, if you are nanotechnology so people, or if you use or physicist, so those who use some of the materials, some of the chemicals if they are using, so then they have to give the complete information of that chemical or of that material. That, like, suppose as an example, suppose you use in your as a material, suppose you use one chemicals such as suppose titanium powder or iron powder. So then you have to, where you purchase that iron powder or titanium powder, where you purchase that, Sigma Aldrich or Mark or Loba, which company you purchased, that you have to give the information that purchased from this. Then you have to also mention that company name, then purity. You can able to find on the box whenever you will purchase some chemicals or any materials. So on the top they should be mentioned some purity, 99.99% or 99.8% or 100%. So the purity that should mention, so that purity you should mention. So one more thing first, one more thing, that this experimental detail, this experimental section or methodology section always written in past tense. Past tense should be written in past tense. How written? Suppose these chemicals you are using, then these chemicals were purchased, or we can write were obtained. So if plural form you will use, then where you should use, and then the next one should be the past tense of that. Obtained, dissolved, purchased, used, analyzed. So what are the things you'll use? That should be this. But if the first one, this material, only single you'll use, then was purchased or was dissolved or was used or was studied. So always past tense, you have to follow the past tense, and either you will use was or you will use were. If it's plural, then were, and next will be the past tense of that. And if singular, then was, next will be the past tense of that one. I'll show you the demonstrative, that will be very easier, that whether it was followed or not on the manuscript, we will see it. So in this chemical or materials detail, we will just give the detail about the materials, silicon substrate if you purchased, or any ITO glass you substrate. So then you have to give the detail of that one, where you purchased. Then what is the purity of that one? Why this is important? Because if someone want to reproduce, then they will go with whatever the chemicals you will be here, you will give the information, so they will follow that one and they will buy that one, they will buy this one, and they will try to reproduce this. So that's why it is important. So you have to give complete information so that reproducibility of your work will be produced. Next, or will be obtained. So next, the company name we have to write. You have to give the impurity, you have to give the purity. And when you are using that chemicals or that materials, when you are using that time, if you are directly using, then no further purification you are using, you have to mention, you have to declare. Or if you are further you are doing some modification, then you have to write completely what the modifications you used, you did it. If no modification, directly you was taking, like suppose some chemical reactions going on, like the iron powder you took, then directly from the bottle you will take the either iron powder and used for your for preparation of your things. So that time definitely no further purification, directly you are using that. So then you can declare after your materials detail you give, you will write that the chemicals used without further, the chemicals were used without further purification. So this is about the chemicals or materials detail. Next, synthesis method. So synthesis method means how you prepared your material, the research, whichever you did it, how you did it, that complete method like this, as I told in the when you will write the abstract, you have to write only one sentence that what is the method you did it. But here you have to explain step by step process how you did that experiment. Because if you will not explain step by step process, then definitely no one can reproduce your result. So that again, that will be again problem. That idea, which one you want to share your idea, so that will not be reproducible. So that's why you have to give the complete information how you did it. So all detail. And I will also suggest one more thing. When, if you are experimentalist, you are performing any experiments, that time try to capture the images. So then pictorial representation, if you can do with the synthesis method, then that is more appreciable or more preferable. So you can capture whenever every step, if you can capture the images and you kept all this during the your experimental section, that is more appreciable. So next, as I told, like when you will write, that time you could do the past tense. So like these materials were synthesized or this material was synthesized. So was or were prepared or was prepared. So based on your the before that, whether this is a plural form or singular form, based on that you can use was or were synthesized, was or were prepared, was dissolved, was added, was transferred. So all this you can utilize when you will write your manuscript. So but all will be in the past tense form for this experimental section. Next is device fabrication. If any device you are fabricating of your materials, that time definitely you have to mention how you fabricate the device. Whole detail about that, how you give, how you packed your device, how you prepare your device, how you fabricate the device, that you have to give the detailed information in device fabrication, so that others, when they will read your article, they can also fabricate that device by following this section, experimental section of your material, of your this published research article. The next part, simulation. Those who are doing theoretical work, instead of a synthesis method, directly they can write simulation, or also they can do another step like simulation. So those who are doing experiment plus theory, they can write the simulation part. So if on your scientific article any simulation program involved, then you mention detail about the which software you used, what is the package of that one, that software name you have to give, then what you took, how you took, what you took to perform the theoretical study, like how you optimize, what you take it to optimize that structure, that material. So all the detailed information, how you started your simulation part, that you run your program, so that detail you have to give it in this simulation section. Then, as I told, general formulas. If you will use some general formulas which can be used in your result part to calculate, so to measure your activities. So these general formulas, you can write it on your experimental sections. But be sure, when you will write any formulas, each term of that formula should be specified with unit. So like as a example, here you can see it. I mentioned here CSP, then integration this upon this. So now you can see here CSP. So what is the CSP? I mentioned here specific capacitance. The unit I mentioned here for program. Similarly, for each term we have to give what is that, and also we will use the unit for that. So that is about your general formulas. The next is characterization. Here, if you are using different instruments or different softwares to study your research work, then you have to write what are the instruments you used for your study, for your research work. All the instruments detailed information you have to give. This instrument you used for this application or for this study, then you have to mention also the detail about the study, the model number, what is the model number, and how they did it. So the information you have to give in these characterization sections. All the instruments you used, or all the similar, if you are you are doing some theoretical work, then all the packages, all the programs you used, every detail you have to give it in the characterization sections. So similarly here, when you will write the characterization section, the same as the other parts subsections. Similarly, this subsection also you have to follow the past tense. Like suppose you perform some experiments, then this experiment was performed using this instrument or using this package, or this study was measured, or these studies were measured. Study was measured, studies were measured or were analyzed or were investigated, or study was investigated, or studies were investigated using this software, by this software. Similarly, was or were studied, was or were used, was or were investigated, examined. So different you can use, but that also be past tense. So this is about all the sections which includes to write experimental section or methodology. Hope now everyone can write their experimental section very easily. So now we will show some published article. So this was a recent article we published. So now you can see the title, the phase crystal phase detail, this one. Now we come from the experimental sections. So you can see the first one was introduction part. So one was introduction part. We completed how to write introduction part. Next year 2 is experimental section. Then subheading, the first one you can see 2.1 chemical details, chemicals, or you can write materials detail or materials used. So whatever you want to write, you can write it. So you can see subheading, I use chemical use. So what are the chemicals I used to prepare this one? You can see it. I mentioned here bismuth nitrate, iron nitrate. So I also use the formula. So that is, you can see now here 99% pure. That also mentioned here, 99% pure mentioned. The formula as well as we mentioned, you can see 98% pure. So which we are obtained. So I think it is clear to everyone that we use here we are obtained. Where we obtained? From Sigma Aldrich US. So we bought these chemicals from Sigma Aldrich USA. So if someone want to do this experiment, then directly they can bought these chemicals from Sigma Aldrich with this purity. Next, these materials, you can see now, these materials were used without further purification to prepare. So what I mentioned, we mentioned we are used. Then to prepare this without further purification means whatever in the box we can, so we directly take that to prepare our material. So that's why we mentioned without further purification we start this starting material, so we took it. So I think it is clear about the chemicals detail. Next will come about the synthesis methods. So in that, synthesis of which material you prepare, preparation of this material, whatever the this you can write it. So now how you prepare this in detail, everything you have to give, and also schematic you can give, that is better also. So you can see now in it says, so in every experimental section, if you see it, then in a synthesis, in a typical synthesis uh, command, then you will start your writing, or in a synthesis in a typical procedure. So you will, then you can start. So similarly here you can, in a typical synthesis, comma, then you can see ethylene glycol was used. Next, like by this process to prepare this one by Solzel method. The Solzel method, what is it? You can see now the detail you mentioned here initially. So first what we did it, 20 ml of ethylene glycol was measured, as I told, was measured and transferred to a pre-cleaned glass beaker. So it transferred it to a beaker, and here you can see was added to the above solutions. And after that what we did it, then you can see we mentioned the pH, you mentioned this is fine 5, and then HP pairs mixed solution was heated at 80 degrees centigrade for 1 hour. So every detailed information you can see stir to control this was formed. Then the salt was transferred to a petri dish and dried 80 degrees centigrade for 12 hours. So then you can see now all this information we given here. Further, by varying this ratio, they prepared it, and you can see whatever I told, that mentioned is same. So the step-by-step process, first what you did, second what you did, third what you did. So all the steps by steps you have to write it clearly, and that will be your synthesis methods. Similarly, if you fabricate some device, you can see now here I fabricated 2 electrode device fabrication. So I mentioned 2 electrode fabrication. So how you did the fabrication? Similar way, as I told you have to use the past tense. So you can see it now here, whether they followed the same or not. We have prepared the 2 electrode system. We used 1 gram of this for each electrode. Both the materials were coated. So we have to write how we made the device fabrication. Then you can write it here. And now next, the characterization. In characterization, as I told, and also formula we need. So formula, I already mentioned the formula, how we have to write the formula with all the, we have to specify all the terms. And next is characterization. In this section, what are the instrument you used? All this detail you have to give it. So you can, for example, you can see it here. What are the things we used here? The phase analysis was carried out, as I told, was mentioned, was carried out, was investigated, was examined. So was studied, so was carried out using a, so what we use for this, using a Malvin pan-analytical expert powder X-ray diffraction instrument at an acceleration voltage. So acceleration voltage also mentioned 30 kilovolt, and then applied current 15 milliampere with K alpha C alpha radiation 1.54 angstrom in 2 theta range. What are the range we taken there mentioned? Similarly, second instrument what we mentioned here, FTIR spectroscopy was carried out by using which instruments we mentioned here. Then transmission electron microscope, we use which instrument we mentioned it here. Then high resolution transmission electron microscope, that also we mentioned that which one used, which voltage we used. So then BET surface area analyzer, which instrument we use, we mentioned chem. You can see here for for XPS measurement, for BET we mentioned that IQ, Bronner, Emmett, Taylor, BET instruments. Similarly, the physical electronics, so XPS, then what they used, which instruments they used, that also they mentioned. So in this, what are the instruments you used to carry out a research? All detail you have to write it down in this characterization sections. So as I told previously, like you can see now, so we given one table for the whatever the samples we prepared, that we given a table. Oh, sorry, we given a schematics. So that is more appreciable. So you can also prepare some schematics for each step, how their color changing or what are the things obtained. Either you can also note it down, you can note it down, or preferably if you take the captured images, that will also good one. And that also in detail you have to write, it will be easier to write the experimental section, as well as also you can present it on that section, experimental section. You can also given this detailed procedure you follow to prepare these materials. The next, suppose you did some simulation, as I told how you did, what you took, after that you optimize, all detail you have to give. So here you can see the DFT calculation. So what are the things they took it, how they did it, all these things they covered in this DFT calculation. What is the software package that you have to mention? Like here you can see this is Quantum Expresso. They use this Quantum Expresso. So what is the software they used, that they mentioned. Then what is the condition when they use this? What are the condition? All these things they mention in these theoretical calculations, if they did some theoretical point of view. So this is all about experimental section, how we can write the experimental section, and why this is important for every research articles. Obviously, without this, someone cannot reproduce your work. So if someone want to reproduce your work, then they have to follow this experimental section. So they have to give the experimental section. So I hope everyone understand about how we can write this experimental section and what are the key points we should follow. We can write it. The next section will be results and discussion. So that we will discuss in the next, that how we can do the result and discussion part, how we will discuss, how we will write that one, what exactly we will do, that we will discuss about the, when we will go for the next lecture, we will part 6, we will discuss about the results and discussion. So we have already completed about the how to write title, abstract, then methodology sections, introduction, methodology sections. Today we will discuss the next section, that is results and discussion. So before we will start results and discussion, as you can recall in the first video, I already mentioned that before you start writing, you should have ready with you the figures, graphs, and also all the tables, and also all the articles. So now this is important for these sections. So let's start results and discussion section. In this section, we will understand how we can write these results and discussion, and also what are the important parameters we should follow for these sections. So what we can understand, if you can say in a broadly, what we can understand in this section, results and discussion means we have to show our results and then we have to discuss those things. So discuss means what we can say that, like one of the important parameter means we have to discuss how our results is different from others, from the literatures, that we have to show it, and we have to give some scientific discussion for that. Okay, so before we will go for this result discussion, how we will get the results. Now the question, how we will get the results? As we know that just before this section, that is experimental sections. So there you remember what are the how I divided. First of all, for the experimentalist, like materials needed, materials or chemicals. The next is methodology. And the third part I kept is characterization, simulation or characterization. So characterization means what? Means, so what are the instrument you used to study your materials? So if you will use different instrument to study your materials, then definitely from the different instrument you will get different results. So that result we have to write it here. So what are the other instruments or other methods, whatever the you observed, so that one we will discuss in these results and discussion sections. And those who are working on theoretical work, they will not use instrument, but they will use softwares. So when they're using software, so what are from that using that software, when they're using some optimization, they're doing some optimization or simulation when they're doing, then what are the different results they'll observe? They're observing different figures, graphs, they're observing that they will discuss in this results and discussion section. So as I told that when you will do these instruments, then or when you will theoretical simulation will do, then you will get different graphs. And that graphs, first of all, you make it in an attractive way. You should present the graphs and figures attractive way. You can see it here that I took from our research works, previously published research work. I just kept it here. I also already made the video how you can plot attractive way, the graphs how you can make attractive. So you can so follow that one. So here for each figure or each graph, we have to write down as results. So when your all figures or all graphs or tables are ready, so before you start writing result and discussion, so first of all, you try to see those figures and graphs, and what you can understand from that, first you try to understand. Try to see it thrice or 4 times, try to see each figures. So let's see, you can see, suppose this figure, you can see this figure. So in this, what you can see it here, you can see there are several shape. In some shape, you can see about some shapes, and then you can see some scale here given, and this, then from that we can see the size, what is the size, what is the shape, so that we can able to see it here. Similarly, in this you can see this, that some same different some shapes are there. Similarly, here you can see that some shapes are there, some shapes are there, and also inside some voids are there. So you have to see it clearly. First of all, you have to see the graphs, what exactly you can observe from that graph. From that graph, what you will observe, that you have to write it down. The next, this graph you can see, what you can see it now. Suppose this graph I will see, you can see that there is some, here you can see some, this is an intensity, so some intense peaks are there, this one, this graph. And already some I mentioned something, but that visualize, if somebody visualize what, then you can see that okay, this peak has highest intensity. So we observe this from this graph, this peak, in this graph, this peak has the highest intense peak, and which is the, okay, this plane, this one is the highest intense peak. Similarly for this, which is the highest intense peak, from this, which is the highest intense, so that we can able to see it, we can visualize it. So that all these things you have to keep in our mind. So those things you have to write down as a text in the result sections. Similarly, here you can see from this one. So this one, you can see now here some, I zoomed this person, I zoomed it and it kept as insert, I kept it as how it looks like. You can see that okay, some flex like this looks like this one, some flower shape, you can say it. So whatever the things you can able to see, all those things, try to, first of all, try to see these images 3-4 times and keep in mind, because in these sections we will describe what are the figures or graphs you will observe, Those things we will describe in this. So let's start now this results and discussion sections. So like I told in the abstract section or in the introduction section or methodology section, like which tense we'll use. But in particularly in results and discussion sections, we will use all the tense, past tense, present tense, and future tense. So here not a particular tense will use for particular. So all the tense will be used. So I will tell now that where we'll use which tense, that I will tell you. But in this section, we will use all the tenses. So now, as I mentioned, we will start how we will start writing of results and discussion section. So our first aim is that whatever you will use the methods or the instruments accordingly, we have to write down here. And the results you should observe in terms of tables or figures or graphs. So those things we will write down here. So when the first sentence we will write, the first section of this result discussion we will write, then what we will use? We will use the past tense. Why we will use past tense, that also I'll tell. So the result in discussion section, when we will start writing the first sentence, the first section, then we will use the past tense. Why? Because, as I told, results will observe particularly for methods, or particularly you use some instruments for your prepared samples. So when we write the first sentence, what we will write? That what exactly we observed from that instrument, that we will write down. Our first line will be that what exactly we observed from that instrument. Be sure that all others, whoever previously did the work on that area, so they already performed that instrument, and with that they already got some results. So everybody know about that. So if already previously done, and you will also get the same, so that definitely past tense, which is already known to everyone. So that's why the first section for each instrument, when you will start writing, the first lines we should write it in past tense. Suppose those who are working in the field of physics or chemistry or material science or engineering background, like in nanotechnology or energy, so for them, they are using X-ray diffraction. So for X-ray diffraction, everybody know that XRD measured for to understand the structural properties of a material. So now if I start writing that figure 1, suppose you did a XRD, X-ray diffraction particularly. So you know that from that instrument we can able to understand the crystal structure, which already done by previously all are used. So our first statement will be right. For example, the structural properties of the samples were investigated or measured or studied using XRD. Similarly, other instrument, when you will go jump to the other instrument, similarly, suppose you want to do about your microstructure, the microstructural analysis of the samples were studied using transmission electron microscope. So the first sentence in the results, when you will start writing, since you will present what already previously also observed the same information, so you have to write down in past tense. So for theoretical analysis, similarly, this was used or were used to understand this. So I think it is clear that when we write our result discussion section, that what should be the first section, which tense we will write down. So now when we will discuss about the first sentence, so that should be the first figure or first graph when we will show that. So then first and then next will come what exactly inside that figure or inside that graph. So inside that figure or graph means that is completely your work, your present work. So you want to show about your work, what exactly. So the next sentence when it will come, that should be in present tense. Means figure 1 shows, figure 1 demonstrates, figure 1 displays. So all the present tense will be there in the second statement when it will come in the result and discussion section. The second one, you should show your own work, your present work, what that figure suggests, what the figure inside. So you have to carefully see it and you have to write it down. So that should be written in present tense. So the first statement will be general statement. That's why that we used past tense. The second onwards, your work you will present the figure or graph, particularly what it displays, that you have to mention it, that you have to show it. So that's why you should use the present tense. So for example, suppose your figure 1 is an XRD, like the as previous case I told that structural properties you can understand from XRD. So now XRD, your first figure is XRD. So figure 1 displays or shows or demonstrates XRD pattern of this sample. So then you just explain the first you have this one, then you have what inside other figures in the figure, which one is the highest intense and all everything you can explain it in detail here in the present tense format. The next what we will do it, and this is your result. The figure 1 what you got, that is your result. Now for each result, always try to put a discussion. What type of discussion? Important is that, as I told, how your work different from others. So after you observe your result, you just try to write down the same research observed by others and you show that your finding is significant compared to others. And when your finding is significant or different from others, you want to show it at the same time. You have to give a plausible reason that why your finding is better compared to others. So that is discussion part. So here, after each research, try to give a discussion with respect to the literature. Suppose your results, others' results are similar, then how you will depend? So maybe results are similar, but in preparation wise, maybe they use several other chemicals. You use only 1, 2 chemicals. That also you can able to tell that maybe harsh or toxic chemicals they use, you did not use that. That is one discussion. Or maybe they took to prepare that they took long time, you did not take long time, you take short time. That is also one also possible reason. Or maybe you use some whatever the reagents you used, among that some of that the chemicals which plays an important role as structure directing. So for that reason, you got some different structures, different morphology. That is also one finding. So how? So you have to find out that is that you should see in such a way that how your finding is different with others, and then you give a possible reason. I will show you one paper. At the end, I will demonstrate that then you can understand easily. But when now, if you will show other papers works, suppose the paper will be like what? Like other papers when you read, maybe Zhang or Liu or Nayak or any that at all showed or reported. So when you will discuss other works with respect to you compare, that time you should use also past tense. Your work is present tense, but when you will show their others work, you will compare, discuss, that time you should use past tense. So next, when you will compare your results with literature, that time don't also forget to give possible reason that why your finding is more important or is high or significant or different compared to others. And when you will discuss this statement with a possible reason, note that you have to write it in a diplomatic way. Don't criticize others' work, others' published work. Don't try to criticize that work. So the next I discuss about the present tense where you will use, past tense where you will use, and similar way result and discussion. Similar way you have to write down from the for all the methods what are the methods you used, or for the all the character instruments what are used for all these you should write down similar with the results and discussion. Each figures you have to clearly explain in these sections, and at the end of this result and discussion section, at the end moment, if your work can be used for further future applications or for future study or or your materials or your work has an importance in future. So then similarly, when you write at the end sentence, you should use future tense. Like this material, for example, like this material has a promising material could be a promising material for this application. The present finding could be a promising or attractive solution for future applications. So here you can use the future tense. So this is all about result and discussion section. I hope it will be helpful to write the manuscript of result and discussion sections for result and discussion sections. So what I discuss, the first we should have ready with all the figures, and then we start writing figures or graphs or tables. And when we will start writing this result and discussion section, so first part, when we will start writing, the first sentence or first sections should be past tense, because already we'll write it in a broader way, which already done by others already reported. The next, when we'll try to write, that should be our present tense, because our work will show it. And then when we will describe this or we discuss this with respect to literature, we compare, that time we will put past tense. And next, if our work has some importance in future, then we write in future tense. So that is all about result and discussion section. So whatever I told, let's whether this followed or not, it is a published article. You can see some one of our published article. You can see now result and discussion. So first part they try to explain morphology. The morphology of edge synthesized samples was examined by FAC. Was examined by FAC. So you can understand that the first sentence we considered with the past tense. Second, what I told, second when we started, our present finding will show. So that will be in present tense. So you can see now whether they use figure 1 shows the PSM image of this. I use the present tense. The next we'll compare our results with others. And I told when we'll compare our results with other, that time definitely we'll use the past tense. So let's see. So now, so some others also so for all samples they mention. So I did not go for all, but we'll go directly that after the results how they showed this. Here you can see the FAC images so completed for all the samples. So now because there are several samples, so all the samples they try to first write down. We try to write down. Now you can see it now. It is important to note that Wang et al. Also reported square slab-like this structure, however, with a much bigger size at 70 degrees centigrade for 10 hours. So clearly in that literature, we found that they observed this one with a bigger size. In our case, we got smaller size. So that is our advantages. So here we show it. The next, you can see that recently Go et al. Synthesized this nanoplates by hydrothermal method at 70 degrees centigrade for 10 hours using citric acid, sodium tungsten, and HCl. So we mentioned what they observed. So then now our aim is we will give our some plausible reason and we compare ours. So now you can see what we did. The formation of a much smaller dimension nanoparticles in the present work means whatever previously they observed dimension wise, our prepared material has a smaller dimension. That we try to write the discussion part. Then we have to give some reason why smaller. So here you can see now the formation of a much smaller dimension nanoparticles in the present work is attributed to lower synthesis temperature and shorter reaction duration. As I mentioned in the earlier, they took 70 degrees centigrade for 10 hours, higher time, as well as temperature is high, but we prepare since lower than that temperature at room temperature, and also we focus lower time. So that's why probably we got smaller size nanoplates. So in this way, we have to discuss for all the results, we have to give a discussions. And that will come when we will read several papers, then those will come. And if we can discuss and we can put some good signs that why your or how you whatever you want to show you want to wrote that how this is differ from others. If that you can show with some good signs, then it will go to a high impact journal. So this is all about result and discussion section. So in this section, we understand how we can write result and discussion section and what are the things we have to follow in this section. Like in the first paragraph, when we'll start, for a single instrument, we'll use the past tense, then we'll use present tense, then we will use past tense, and we will use future tense if have some future applications. So our next section, we will understand about the conclusion, and also I will tell about the references. So next we'll discuss how we can write the conclusion, and then how we can do the referencing. I will try to tell manually in using Word file how you can do the cross-referencing and all that I will show you manually. And then we will completely will cover how we can write the scientific article in terms of 7 part. So today we will complete part 6. So thank you very much. If you have any comments, you can write down in description box. Then definitely we will try to answer your comments. And at the end also, I will try to make a live session so that whatever your comments will come or your question or query will come, that we will discuss in detail how we can write the scientific article. So thank you very much. So please try to subscribe about the conclusion. Before we will go to the conclusion slides, the conclusion part. So as you know that when you will read some story, in any story, so everyone wants a happy ending. And when you will read some story, at the end moment, you will find the moral of the story. So the same thing also here in this conclusion, for our whole manuscript, whole article, what is the moral of our article? So those things we will write in conclusion. As we understand from the abstract, when I told that abstract, so there is a similarity with abstract and conclusion. Like in abstract should be concise, clear, and attractive. Similar way also, when we write this conclusion, we have to also follow the same things. So let's start our last part of how to write scientific article, that is conclusion. So in this session, we will discuss how we can write conclusions for our research article or for scientific article. And we will understand what are the things we should focus to make our conclusion attractive or concise and clear, and what are the things we should avoid. You remembered when I told about that title. About the title, we have to take few keywords which will reveal the whole story of our research work. And for abstract, I told that few key sentences which will tell the whole story of your research work. In this session also, this conclusion, we have to take few sentences which reveals the whole story and it tells the moral of your whole research work. So we will first understand in this conclusion, what is the meaning of this conclusion, and what are the things we should not add. We should not write in this conclusion session. That first we'll understand, then we'll understand what are the things we should mention and how we can make a concise conclusion. So first of all, conclusion means we have to tell the moral of your whole research work. So means your introduction, methods, result and discussion, whatever you did. So from all this part, so what you want to convey message with few sentence, so that you have to write it here. So all these things you should bring from your whatever you discussed in the introduction section or method section or result and discussion section. From that, you have to find out your story, which will justify your title and abstract. So conclusion should not be any something new will be not there. So means the conclusion, when we'll start writing, we have to focus our introduction, result discussion, method section. So all these previous parts, what we have wrote. So from that, we should write our conclusion. So that's why when you will start writing the conclusion session, should never ever write any new information in that which you did not discuss on your whole manuscript. So don't write any new informations on your conclusion. So whatever you will write, that should be discussed previously. That is the first point. Second, also, like I told, that we will try to take the discussion, try to take the keywords to make sentence from introduction, methods, or result and discussion. But we don't make any repetition of the sentence. That we have to focus that no sentence should be repeat, that you don't directly bring from result discussion sections or from introduction sections or from method section. Don't take directly and write in the conclusions. That never do it. You have to write it, which should not have any repetition. So first of all, don't give any new information which is not discussed on your whole manuscript. Second, don't make any repetition of the sentence. Next, like in method sections, you describe what the method is, how you did it completely. As I told in the abstract session, like in abstract session, we just write that which method. Similarly, in this session also, no need to describe about the methods. So no description needed about the methods or the results. We are discussing the result. What are the results we found? Then we are discussing on the discussion part. So the discussion also not required in conclusion, because we need a concise conclusion, concise and clear and attractive. So here also, like in abstract, here also we should focus taking few keywords from the result sections or from methodology sections, keywords to make a sentence. Not any description about methodology or about results and discussion. Next, like abstract, we don't have to put any references. I told that reference, or we have to cite when we want to cite any article. Like in introduction section, we have to cite some articles. The references what we are following. Methodology also, if you are following some previous of your works or some others work, you have to give the reference. Result and discussion also, you have to give the references. You have to discuss with the others work, how your work is different from others. But in abstract session, I told clearly that no need of any references. Similar in conclusion sections, we don't have to put any reference for this. So no need of cite to cite anywhere, because this is particularly what is your finding, what you want to give the moral of about your work. So what is you did that, what you did the new thing that you have to tell in your conclusions. So they never give any references for conclusions and never cite any articles in this section. On again, also, like in abstract, we don't have to put any figure or table or any figures or tables. Similarly, in conclusions also, no need of giving any figures or tables or graphs or schematics. So here also, we don't have to give any figures or tables or graphs. So these are the things we should avoid when we will start writing conclusion. So first of all, no need to put any new information which you did not discuss on your introduction sections or result discussion sections or methodology sections. Second, no repetition of the sentence. Though we are following those sections, but we will not give any repetitions, any repetition of the sentence. Third, don't give any descriptions of methods or discussions or results in discussions of the results. And then no need of put any references or tables or figures or graphs. So those are the things we have to follow when we will write conclusions. So let's start about the conclusion, how we can write the conclusion in a concise way and or in a attractive way or in a clear way. So what are the points we should focus so that our conclusion will be a concise and will be a clear and attractive. So when we will start writing the conclusion, the first sentence we should focus that what we kept our title. So based on the title, we should tell our story, whole story in one sentence. We should justify our title. So the whole research work, we should take few keywords like we made the title. So similar way to justify the title, the whole story, we will write in a sentence. So in the first sentence, when we will start writing the conclusion, we will take few keywords to make a sentence which will describe the whole story of your research work. And when you will convey the moral of your research work or the whole story about research work, so that you already did, so better you can write also in past tense. And also sometimes you can see also that past tense will be better, that because suppose you prepared something or you did, so you developed, you fabricated. So past tense you can write simple past tense. The next, you have to focus what are the major findings of your research work. So list out the major findings of your research work. So first sentence when you will write in the conclusion, so first will be the whole story, you should tell the whole story. Then to support this story, so what are the results you observed, and from there what are the major findings you got? List out those major findings that you, to support your story or your whole work. So what are the things you did it? What are the informations you got? You try to list out it and try to write down. And the third part, you should write the importance. So what exactly the importance of your work? Suppose you tell your whole story, you do this work, you did it, this research work, you did it. Then to support that, you did several experiments or you several theoretical, you did it, and on the result sections you discuss. So from that, how your result is different from others, that in the discussion part you mentioned. And after that, you should mention in the discussion section that your results different from the literature or from other works. Why? What's the reason? So those part, that importance, just the important points, the important keywords, you should put it here. I'll give some examples, it will be more clear, and also I'll demonstrate also the others article, published article, that whether they are following this or not, we will also see that one. I'll give examples. Suppose you are experimentalist, you prepared a material, and this material you applied for few applications, any applications you did it, and suppose your material shows enhanced activity on particular that application. Then you have to prove it. So you did several experiments, several other results, you got it. From that you are explaining. So suppose either you did the optical properties. To understand the optical properties, suppose you did UV visible. So then you can understand the band gap. So maybe your material band gap is lower. That's why activity is higher, you observed. Suppose another one you did, suppose your material surface to volume ratio is very high. So surface area is very high. Then you can mention that surface area is very high. Suppose you observed on the results. Another, suppose size is very smaller in your material, or in any particular dimensions like 1D structure or 0D structure or 1D or 2D structures. So due to that, maybe your activity is enhanced, you observe. Or you did, suppose other applications you did, sorry, other properties you measured, like that the growth, facilitated some growth occurs, or some oxygen vacancies, suppose you created. So that's why your activity was enhanced. So the several results you did on your result discussion sections and you discussed. So when you will write here, how you will write it? No, your material observed much higher activity compared to reported results due to lower band gap, higher surface to volume ratio, higher number of oxygen vacancies, or whatever others findings, that 1D structures, 0D structures, 3D structures. So this pattern. So your material shows higher activity. This material shows higher activity compared to others due to higher surface to volume ratio, or higher number of oxygen vacancies, higher number of defects or higher number of higher surface to volume ratio, or higher number of defects. So that is your finding. In one sentence, you can discuss here. You can in one sentence, by taking these keywords from each result, you made that sentence. That is clear, the importance of your work. And the last sentence, when you will make it, that should be some future motivation or some inspiration of your research work. The last sentence should be future motivation. Because when someone will read your article, so they can take a knowledge from your article, take a moral that yes, then it can be useful for a promising approach for other materials or for other properties. So a future prospect you should give about your research work, so that others will get inspiration from your work and they will be happy that okay, so it will be helpful also for their research. So they will get an inspiration or motivation from your work. So you have to follow all these steps to write a concise and clear conclusion. We will also see that how other people's reported, other authors, other researchers reported. We will follow now. We will see and we will demonstrate whether we are following, if they are following this or not. What I told, the step one, whole story about research work, we will write in a sentence which justify our title. Next, what are our new findings which is differed from others? What are the new findings or major findings? Not all the new findings, the major findings. What are the major findings of your work? That just list out. Then what is the importance? How it is differ from others? So that importance of your work, mention it. The last sentence should be the future motivation or the inspiration. Those who will read your article, they will get a motivation or inspiration about your work, that it has future prospects, so that they can also follow this article for their research work. So now let's go to visit others' research papers. So you can see I copied this one from this reference. This was published in SCS Nano. It is a very recently published. You can see even that not came, the page number and all not came, just accepted. You can see it recently it got published. So what is the title? You can see Oxidation State Engineering in octahedral nickel by anchored sulfate to boost intrinsic oxygen evaluation activity. So what we can understand from this, we can understand that some oxidation state they are engineering. That what this title suggests, the engineering. And then they prepared some material, nickel-based materials they prepared, anchored with the sulfate. So the sulfate should be there. With a nickel-based some material they prepared, that sulfate should be there. That material enhanced the oxygen evaluation property, oxygen evaluation reaction activity. So the whole, we can understand from that that they should prepare some material on nickel-based material they prepared with sulfate, and some oxidation state they are try to modify engineering the oxidation states, and based on that their activity increased. So let's see the first sentence. We have developed a facile sulfate in situ modified strategy to fabricate SO4 2 minus Ni Fe2O4 V0 hollow nanospheres as highly efficient catalyst for alkaline HCl. Is the title. They try to justify this one. You can see they prepared this material as a hollow sphere material they prepared, and also they try to modify this one SO4 2 minus, the oxidation state 2 minus, that modified, and they used this one for oxygen evaluation reaction, alkaline oxygen evaluation reaction. They did it. So the first sentence, the whole story they told. Next, to justify that one, what are the things they did it, what are the strategies they followed, and then what are the major outcomes they should write. So you can see it now. The adsorption sites and spatial arrangement of SO4 2 minus on the catalyst surface, this enhanced this one by what? By advanced characterizations. So they did several characterizations to understand this one, and DFT computation. So they did it. So what are the things they did it? Here they mentioned it. So now they will list out what are all the things, all the new findings, what they want to tell. So they list out it. And what I told, that at the end moment when they will try to they will try to discuss the importance of their work, importance of their major importance of the work, and future motivation. So let's see. So these are all findings I think they mentioned. So here we can, if we come here, you can see this work manifests the importance of sulfate adsorption site and spatial arrangement in tuning the intrinsic activity of wear catalyst. So this work manifests the importance of sulfate adsorption. So they mention here what the importance what is the importance of their work. Here they clearly mention that importance of sulfate adsorption and spatial arrangement in tuning the intrinsic activity of wear. So the sulfate absorption occurring, and also then how it was tuning their wear activity, intrinsic wear activity, that the importance they mentioned. And last sentence should be the future prospect. I told the future. So that it will encourage the researchers that they can follow this work. So here they mention the last sentence, you can see the mechanism proposed in this study. Whatever the mechanism they proposed in this study may shed light on the design of many other oxyanion modified catalysts. They mentioned that it will also help to other materials, those who are preparing other materials. So this mechanism they can also follow for their research work. So that those who are working on different materials, when they will follow, they will read this one, so they can also follow their mechanism, and they can get this idea, they can incorporate on their finding that why their activity was increasing. So they can give a reason of this one. So in this way, we should write a conclusion. So first sentence should be, whatever your whole of the research work we will write by taking keywords, we will make the sentence which will justify our title. The next sentence, we will try to list out the major findings of your research work, and then we will try to write down the importance of your major findings, what is the importance of observing that your material is different from others, but no need to describe here. Just by taking the keywords, you have to write the statements, and then we have to give the future motivation or inspiration, so that who will read your research article, who will read your research paper, they will motivate, or they will get inspiration about your research work, and they can follow it, and they can use for their research study, for their research work. So this is all about your, when you will start writing in this way, we discuss about all the sections, what are the major sections we have to follow, and how we write, we discussed. So now the other sections, which usually same for all, and these are minor things, but I will try to discuss all these things, what generally we should write and how you can write it. I will just tell. So after your conclusion done, so then you can write the credit authorship contribution statement. That is not for all the manuscripts. Few manuscripts they need, a few manuscripts they don't write. So it is as of you, based on the requirement. So credit authorship contribution statement. So if what the authors did, what is the contribution for this work, how many authors, and what are the contribution of each of the authors, you can write in this session. So what exactly they contribute, someone did characterization, someone frame this research work, someone perform the experiment, someone writing that one. So whatever who's someone revised this one, so whatever they did it, based on their contribution, you can write in the credit authorship contribution statement. Next, declaration of a competing interest. So that you will find for every research article or scientific article, you will find this one. This you should mention on your article, that if you are use some of your research fund to publish your article, if you are paying some money to publish your article, or in an open access journals, if you are paying to publish your article, then you should declare that you are using some fund. So if you are not using any fund for publishing this one, so then you have to clearly mention there is no that you declare that no competition or no conflict of interest, no conflict of financial interest. So that one sentence you can write, that is enough. There is no conflict of financial interest. So the next, acknowledgement. This is also in like in every manuscript, in every research article or scientific article, we should give the acknowledgement. So acknowledgement means that support for that particular research work where you got the support. Suppose you are doing a PhD students, if you are getting some fellowship for this research work, if you are getting fellowship, so you can acknowledge also them that you are using the fellowship from this. So you acknowledge to them for this work you are getting your fellowship from this organization. That will be an acknowledgement. Suppose you are using some fund for the research purpose, you also uses several fonts. So all that you can acknowledge here. And next, supporting information or supplementary information. So that is, if some data you made the data, you have so many data, but due to the length, a number of large length of your work, you unable to incorporate all, because limitation, word limitation, figure number of limitations should be there in each research article. So if you're exceeding this, then you can put another file, you can make it another file as supporting information. So in that you can able to write, or you can able to put all the figures, whatever the figures which you want to put as supporting information, like you unable to put on your main article, so that you can put as supporting information. So whatever the supporting information, whatever the files you kept it, whatever the data, whatever your results you kept it, so these you have to here, you have to just write that in supporting information you kept these results, so that they can understand from these informations will be available in supporting information, so that they can able to go to open that other file, that they can able to read that one. And the final is references. So this reference section, I already told that how in the first, how we can able to do the referencing. We already discussed in our previous sections, we already discussed that various softwares are available for referencing purpose, that you should learn it. And various softwares, many are paid versions, many are also free versions. Like we already discussed about Jotero, Mendeley, EndNote. So all various softwares we discussed how we can use. And among them, one of the freely available software, Jotero, we already in our previous sections we discussed how you can use Jotero. And also in that video also we already given in the description box also given the link where you can directly download the software and you can use for referencing purpose. That is completely free. So that you can also follow for the referencing purpose. Any software you can follow, but we already discussed all this. And one of the free software, that is Jotero, we also given the link on that software, and how you can use, we also mentioned it on that video. So this is all about how we can write a scientific research article for the beginners. So once you will make your first draft, then you can send it to your colleagues or to other authors. They will verify it, and then you can send it to your supervisor or under whom you are doing that work. You can send them. Then after the corrections, after the final corrections, you can submit it to any articles, to any journals, and based on that journal, you can referencing, you can do that. And that we already discussed on the previous videos. We already discussed that how we can change according to the journal, how we can change the references, that we also discussed on our earlier videos. So you can able to get the information about that. So thank you very much. And those who are new, so they can subscribe this, so that it will motivate us to make new videos. So thank you for your watching.